Hello, my name is Michael Timmons. I'm the author of the Light and War Saga and the Shards of the Coven series. I'm also the organizer for the Writer's Block Author Fair that's held here in Toledo, Ohio. And today we're going to talk about the 4 steps to world building. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video because the 4th step, I think, honestly, is probably the most important one. Also, please subscribe, click on the little notification bell so you can get all the notifications of all my videos as I release them. It should be every Wednesday. That's the goal. We'll see if it actually, lives up to that. But that's my plan, to give you a nice new video every Wednesday. So, as I said, today we're going to talk about world building. Step 1: figure out your story. What I mean by this is know what your characters need to accomplish, their goals, and what kind of obstacles they will need to face. Now, I say need to face because as part of a story arc, a character arc, you're going to have obstacles for your characters to face. That could be their backstory, how they were brought up, just the history of what they've had to deal with in their childhood, or even just a few days before your story actually begins. Creatures, monsters, any type of fauna or flora that they're going to have to deal with. Figure out what kind of beings, monstrous beings, exist in your world. Your MC's foes. Who are they going to encounter as your story progresses? Figure out who they're going to run into, where they're going to be coming from, their backstory. Give them their own little character arc so we know who they are, what their motivations are, and why they are an obstacle for your MC. Politics. Figure out the politics of your world. Even if it's just a village, a city, a country, whatever. Figure out how those hierarchies are organized within those communities and how those will impact your characters. Religion. Figure out how you want your religion to play a part in your character's development, in your character's arc. Is religion going to be an obstacle for them to overcome, or is it going to be something that will help them on their journey get to where they need to go? The environment. This is very important because obviously the environment encompasses everything that they're going to interact with. So figure out how your world's environment is set up. So number 2, set your location. What you want to do is you want to start with your MC or your MC's home, their village, their town, their city, log cabin in the woods, whatever. Where they originate, that's your basis. That's your base of operations. That's where you start. That's where you build out from. Expand from there. Is there a place that they're from? Is it part of a group of villages? Is it a city-state, a country? What other locations are around there? Are there other towns in their vicinity? Do they interact with? Is there trade going on between those villages? What does your village, your town, your city think of other cities, other views, other countries? Create a history of this place. Now, you don't need to feel you need to go way back. You're not writing Middle Earth, okay? Unless you want to. You can go back as far as you wish to add depth to your world. 20 years, 50 years, 500 years. Be specific when it pertains to your story. But you can remain vague on the rest of and fill it in as you expand your world and your writing that happens in this world. The politics, as I mentioned before. Who runs your country or your kingdom? Whatever you wish to call it. Is it a king? Is it a queen? Is it a senate? A merchant's guild? This will flesh out your world and your story. It doesn't pertain to the If it doesn't pertain to the plot, though, keep it simple, keep it vague, just names, places of power, how well it works, that sort of thing. The religion, you can have gods or you can not have gods. It's your call. But if you do have gods, you need to figure out how they represent themselves in your world. Are they active? Are they passive? Are your people worshipers? Are they casual believers? Or are they atheists? How big of a role do you want the religion to play in your story? Important people in the world. Rulers, leaders, heroes, villains, people that will be in your world, but not necessarily that your character will interact with, but will define how your world exists. It will add depth. And those people, maybe in future stories, your MCs may run into those people, or they may do things that might impact how your character story progresses. The environment. Is your world a world of different biomes? Is it a desert world? Is it a world filled with jungles? Are there vast oceans or thousands of lakes? Are there seasons, or is it more equatorial? Does it snow where your MC is from, or is that something that they might encounter later on if they travel north or south, or perhaps the way your world's set up, the snow exists along the equator? It's your world. Design it how you want. Have it try to make a little bit of sense too. Weather changes. Are there seasons? This is important to factor in as your story progresses through time. So if you have a story that progresses years or months, weather will change. It doesn't stay the same, or maybe it does. I mean, it's fantasy, so you can have it go the way you want, but just keep it consistent. Next question. Number 3. How big of a world do you want? Now, this doesn't need to be answered right away, but you should be thinking about it. What are your end goals for this world? Is your book a one and done, or is it a series? Are you planning to have more books that exist in this world? And if so, you need to plan ahead. You need to know an overall arc of the stories that you want to tell in this world, and how far and how wide you want to make it, so that when you do get to these other areas in your world, you understand what's going on there and their place in the broad picture. You'll have more time to plan a little bit more and build it up, but the longer you plan on staying within this world in your stories, the deeper you're going to want to make it. And now for the 4th and absolutely most important point and step of world building is keep notes. I cannot stress this enough. Create a binder. Fill it with everything that you decide about your world. Anybody you add to your world, leaders, places, creatures, environments, histories. If they have different traditions, or anything that how people live their lives, you want to write that down. Make a map. Create a map of your world so that you can figure out the distances between places. How long will it take to go from here to there? And that will factor into your overall story. But as I said, places, people, flora, fauna, traditions, all of it, put into a binder. Write it up, or there are programs that can organize those things on your computer that you can reference. But make sure that you have something that you can reference. So as you write your story, you can remain consistent, and when people read them, they won't be going, wait a minute, I thought that those people came from this town, not this town. Because if you can't remain consistent, you'll lose your readers. It will pull them out of the story, and they won't enjoy it as much. So, those are the 4 steps to world building. Obviously, there's a lot more that you can add to this. This is a kind of a broad picture view of world building. There is a lot of nitty-gritty that goes into building each of these things. And as I said, the depth of your story, of your world, is what you want to make it. You can make it as deep as you want, or you can make it as superficial as you want. As long as it works within your story and gets your main characters from point A to point B, where they need to go and why they need to go and how they need to get there. That's the important thing. Also, as I stressed just a moment ago, be consistent. It's very important in world building. You need to keep your world consistent. Do not change it from book to book or chapter to chapter. If you create something in your world, make a note of it, so when it appears later on, it stays the same. Or if it has changed, there's a reason for that change. And it has something to do with everything else that you've already created in this world that has created the change, an uprising or environmental changes, whatever. Give a reason why it's different from how you wrote it in the first place, and your readers won't mind. So, I hope you enjoyed this video on world building, and please join me for my next video. Please, of course, hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell down below, and by all means make a comment. Tell me what you would like other videos to be, and tell me if you enjoyed this video or not, or if you have any suggestions or any questions about world building. I would love to hear them. So have a great day. Thanks.